Sports conversation the way it ought to be. This is Jeff Allen Sports Talk.
All right, as the UCF softball season cranks up on February 6th with the Black and Gold tournament, I am delighted to have UCF softball coach Cindy Ball-Malone join us on the program. Coach, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here as well.
Thank you. So I know coaches like to always look forward and not behind, but I did want to kind of get an assessment of what you thought of the Knights' first season in the Big 12 last year.
I thought we did a good job of playing some really competitive games, and I mean, you've got the teams that finished ahead of us in the conference have been teams that have made it to the World Series numerous years. I mean, as you saw, they were all in at least super regionals. Three of the teams made it to the World Series. And so for us to be right in there in every game, I think if we had a little bit more experience under our belt in those situations, some of those games would have fallen our way, and kind of gone in our direction. Um, I do think we could have executed a little bit more, especially with the seasoned team that we did have. But again, that all goes into they may have been a seasoned team. They'd never played in the Big 12. And I mean, for two Big 12 teams to be in the national championship game, that speaks to what the conference, the competition, the level of talent, and just like the everyday grind that we had to go through.
Yeah, and I would also probably point out too, and no disrespect to the American, but the pitching level in the Big 12 is a whole nother level.
Yes, yes. And I mean, that's, with Lexi Kilfoyle having a standout year last year. I mean, she was just so tough to face, along with the whole Oklahoma staff, the whole Texas staff. I mean, it didn't matter who you were facing in that conference. Absolutely. And it doesn't get any easier this year. So, yeah, it's awesome to be able to play with the best and amongst the best every day.
That is terrific. You had an amazing group of seniors last year. You do have a couple of them coming back as grad assistants, and Shannon Doherty and Sarah Willis. How much are you looking forward to how they will contribute in this phase?
Yeah, they've already contributed so much, just by being here every day, helping through the development, the growth. And it's fun because you've got Sarah Willis still playing, just newly drafted yesterday. And so she will do her own training. She does her own like conditioning and strength and conditioning stuff. And so for them to be able to see what that looks like and see it at the professional level every day is such a great example, and for them to not only set goals, but to see what it takes, right? But then they also bring such a great factor of, when they're out there and something happens, I see them talking and cheering them on and pumping them up, um, and it's just so fun how much they want to give back to our program, because they could very easily move on and go do other things. And they still want to see this out and see this through. And they talk so highly of this year's team, which is hard to do when you're freshly out of the game. So, at least the college game for some of them.
And of course, with the amazing core of seniors that have moved on, now you have new opportunities for leadership within the team. And I know you've got some returning players, just to name a few: Samantha Ray, Aubrey Evans, Ashley Griffin, Caitlin Cochran, Sierra Humphreys. How do you look towards building that new leadership this year?
Yeah, that leadership is kind of like building on its own way, along the way of we do a really good job, I believe, in really talking about leadership amongst the entire team. And so we do bring somebody in, proactive coaching, to work with us, and we talk to all of them. So though we do have returners coming back, all of our newcomers are in a leadership role, and they're on a leadership team, if you will, because it's important for them to remind us that it's great to be able to wear the uniform because they'll be doing it for the first time. and to play in the different venues that we get to play in, to play at home here in front of Night Nation. And so they're supposed to remind us to compete and why it's so much fun to be able to compete wearing the UCF jersey, because it's so fresh to them, right?
Mhm.
And so then you go down through the list of the leaders. The four that really have stood out a lot are Caitlin Felton, Aubrey Evans, Ashley Griffin, and Stormy Kotzelnick. Those are our four captains. And they've done such a good job of transitioning into that role. It's so tough because the best players are supposed to perform and execute, right? And usually the best players, they can be great teammates, but they're also those players that are pretty selfish in their own routines and what they do. And so we've kind of found that balance here of you need to be selfish, you need to be able to play the game, you need to help find people to help you in moments where maybe you can't be that top leader because you have to be out there on the field performing. And they've done such a good job of transitioning in, like kind of going like, what does the team need? What does my teammates need? And now what do I need? And so I've really appreciated watching them grow and develop through that time.
Now, scheduling obviously is a big area of emphasis for you. I mean, it's not just the Big 12 conference schedule, but you're bringing in a lot of great teams to the Black and Gold tournament. Got a couple of prime opponents in between that and the Clearwater Invitational, which obviously has top shelf opponents. How does the scheduling help you form the team for the season?
Yeah. Well, we're so young that I think that we need to just get thrown into it. And I think there's also different ways to kind of view and see that because you could go into it like maybe not playing five of your first games had played in super regionals or the World Series, um, so that they can get their feet wet and get into it. But I've seen the benefit of if we want to be at the World Series, then we need to play against those teams. And if we're not necessarily ready in weeks 1 and 2, well, I mean, I don't know many teams that have won a national championship in weeks 1 and 2. And so uh, I think the best way to do it is figure it out, and kind of wear it on the chest a little bit if you have to, and then be able to go and get stronger. And we got to see that in the fall. We played a very strong team in Florida in the fall. We were feeling good. We were playing good, and we went up there and matched up to them. And the first couple of innings, it was kind of you know, back and forth. And then all of a sudden, we showed our youth. And what was really cool about that was our team came back and they said, we're excited to get back on the field, the next day that we get to practice because we got some things to work on. And they weren't discouraged by it. And we were clearly outmatched in some areas. And so we've been able to really focus on those things, and get stronger and better. And I think what's really cool is they understand it's not that we can't do it. It's just that we haven't been there. We're very young. And so we need to learn what we need to do and what it takes. But we do have the talent and the level of talent to do the things that we want to do.
Well, hopefully the weather will cooperate in Clearwater like it didn't last year, because I know you probably lost some good opportunities there
Yeah.
a year ago.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's what also helps you. I mean, I think us being able to go out to the Mary Nutter last year, Clearwater was also set up to really schedule us, to put us in a good position for postseason, and to have that RPI that we're looking for. And so thankfully, the Mary Nutter helped us out with that as well. And so not only do we have those games at Clearwater this year, but we do have, we're bringing in some people. In our midweeks, and then we are traveling on our bye weekend, to go play a really tough team as well, along with another team at that little friendly that we're going to. But yeah, I think that being able to schedule that way it's a privilege because you don't have the opportunity to be able to see, like every team doesn't have those teams kind of coming through their area. So we definitely are blessed in that way. But we like the challenge. We like the competition. We want it to be hard. We're choosing hard this year. So, maybe ask me that question in a couple of weeks, how I'm feeling. But I just have to remind myself that it's not where we start, it's where we finish. And in order to get better, we got to push through that.
And with the black and gold tournament too, I'm sure the opposition loves getting into the state of Florida this time of year.
Yes. I wouldn't have said that a couple weeks ago. We've been really cold
Yeah.
here. It's been crazy. I mean, I'm sure people heard that there was snow up in northern Florida. So it's been interesting, but our warm weather's coming back. I think we're supposed to hit 80 today. So I think that those that have been getting snow themselves are going to really appreciate it. It's always a fun tournament. To get some teams returning for, multiple years is also fun. I think this will be the third year we've hosted Georgia in the opening weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
Now, I also have to think you're thrilled with, season tickets selling out. In your time here at UCF, has the support met and or exceeded your expectations?
Yes, I mean, it's such a good problem to have, right? Like, I don't want them to sell out and then people are wanting to get more. And so I know we're going to continue to work on that. I know there's plans for all of that, but to be able to post that we've sold out before season has even started. I know we've sold out of multiple like midweek games as well already. But for season ticket holders, just to have that fan base that we have, Night Nation it's awesome. And that's why people, I think, love coming to play here, but they also know that it's equally very tough to play us on our home turf, because of that fan base that we have.
So I have to do a shout out to my pal Eric Lopez, who calls the games for UCF softball on ESPN Plus. How much impact has he had as an ambassador of the program and college softball as a whole?
Oh, well, I mean, I might be biased, but I think we have the best voice in the game. The stories that he can tell, I mean, he does such a good job of highlighting the game, highlighting the women in it, and telling the stories behind it and keeping you engaged because it's more, if we just focused on wins and losses only, there's so much more left on the table. And Eric does such a good job of showing the lifestyle of this game and what, the friendships that have been built through it. And I learned something new about myself from him all the time. Like, it could be um, an award that, or like a kind of a milestone that we've hit. And I'm like, I didn't even know that that was a milestone that you think about. And then like I'm standing a little bit taller, right? But the way he just empowers our women through just talking about the game, and again, finds all of their strengths is just I don't know many that can do it. And I think that's why we get so many compliments. Um, and if you look at our following, our games are watched. They're watched often. And our opening weekend, I know in the past, our Georgia games, I mean, it was like record numbers that we have. And that's not just softball, because if you have, a boring entertainer, you're not going to be able to keep those viewers. So he does such a good job of just doing a great job of making sure that everybody in the game is known. He highlights them. He's growing the game, and he has such a great passion and love for this program. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without him.
Yeah. No, my mission is to, that he eventually gets to call regionals for ESPN. I think, he's well worthy of that honor.
Absolutely. So that means that our goal is we got to keep hosting regionals. Uh,
Yes.
I don't know if they would let him do it because I'm sure that they would think that there's something to that, but absolutely we need to throw him in there for sure. Um, I think if I'm not mistaken on the numbers, he called his 600th game last year here.
Yes.
And so, I mean, wow. When you talk about, the change in sports and especially in today's world, there's not a lot of people that hang around to be able to do that at one place. So we're blessed that we have that special, the voice of UCF softball here.
Absolutely. So one of the great things I love about softball is the energy of the teams in the dugout. And I find it next level with UCF, with all the handshakes, the dances. And we see quite a bit on social media too, videos of you dancing, doing dance routines with your players. How do you explain how the culture has evolved within the program that brings this kind of spirit?
Yeah. Well, I think it really comes down to, I mean, these women have an opportunity with NIL and exposure and followers. And, we're fortunately being able to build up our professional level, and you're getting to see that. Um, and now I'm still going to say it's not at the level that it needs to still be at because there's a lot of people that are left out of the professional level. And so to be able to market and advertise them in that way is really important. And then there's the other aspect of just kind of that just genuine having fun. Like there's people that like to dance. I enjoy music. I enjoy dancing. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I enjoy it. And if a player comes up to me and says, "Hey, Coach Barry, you want to do this TikTok?" and I have the time, I'm going to do it. I might be really nervous while doing it. And I'm saying like, don't look like a fool here, like, but the fact that they want to engage with me in that way and, like we're kind of playing loose is really important to us. Like that's who we've always been. We play loose, we play with energy. Um, we know the X's and O's of the game, but at the same time, like we're going to be our own authentic selves. But to be able to market them like they're doing, I was just thinking about it today. One of our athletes was kind of doing a day in the life on Instagram. And so to get to see what they do outside of when we're with them, it's fun and how they're so committed to being an elite athlete, with what they eat, how they're prepping themselves and all of that. But I think it's important that they get to share that. And so many people can say that it's a negative thing, but I mean, wow, to be able to be empowered and like show off that stuff and if they can get something out of it, that's that I'm excited for it and I want our women to be able to do that as much as they can.
Yeah, I recall a couple of years ago before a UCF football game down in the plaza. It brought such a smile to my face to see you and your girls doing some dance routines, just having fun. And I'm sure it's got to be gratifying the relationships you build with your teams over the years and things like that. I got to think that's very gratifying for you.
It is. It is. Um it's funny how as you get older, you start to get a little bit more, I don't know if it's sensitive or more aware of, when players move on. And I think, the players that graduated last year are surprised that I keep reaching out to them and I'm like, "Hey, I miss you. We miss you here." And um, I don't know if they know how to respond. They're just hearted or whatever, but you know, to to be impacted by so many amazing people and then now young women that are accomplishing so many things in the world is, I mean, it kind of takes your breath away. So to be able to have those relationships is really important. And I'd be lying to you if it was like every relationship is perfect. I think some kind of come back around later on, which is cool. And I say that, I have an athlete from a former a place that I was at before here, that's coming out to Orlando area and is gonna, come out and watch practice. And it's just fun to be able to blend, our softball life together and kind of, um, when we talk about UC family, it's real. So, again, I know that this is supposed to be my job and it pays the bills and all of that, but it sure does feel like it's a lot of fun and we're just playing on the playground.
So you were a two-time All-American at Pacific. So you have credentials as a player. What did you learn in your playing days that has impacted your coaching career?
Well, since it was just a couple years ago, yeah, that the school that I played for, we were a very small private school. And I think we had like 15 players on the team. And I couldn't imagine going to a season now with 15 players, but we did it. And we didn't know what we couldn't do. We just knew like what we wanted to set out to do. And we were so darn competitive. We definitely did more with less. And I feel like that's what really helped me, as far as it's not about all the gear you get. It's not about all the prizes you get. It's about the relationships you build. And it's about the struggles you go through. And then the victories that come out of it. And believe me, very successful career as an individual and as a program when I was at University of the Pacific. Um, but struggle was real, and that's what we're talking about. Like you're great because you can go through that struggle, and we talk about it every day. And it's crazy because our athletes in this game, not just here at UCF, but in this game, they'll go through struggle, but they don't show it. And so, some of these younger athletes think, oh, well, then something's wrong with me if I'm striking out and doing this and doing that. And I just think it's really important to understand that, I think Michael Jordan said he missed like 3,000 shots or 9,000 shots or something like that. Um, and he missed like so many like game-ending buzzers, but all everyone thinks about is the ones that he did make, right? And he wouldn't be able to do that if he didn't go through that struggle. So I think that's what I learned. And then it's more than the game. I was so focused as a player on winning and accomplishing, and I don't think that's bad. I want our athletes to feel that way. But sometimes I would miss out on like, oh yeah, I'm not going to have these friends in my life every day with me all the time. And so really being able to appreciate that has been important. And so we'll do little things like we did a fun little football route drill at practice yesterday. And for me, I'm thinking, okay, our footwork's going, we're going to catch the ball with our bare hand, we're going to do all these things that are going to help in the game. And they had so much fun. They were playground kids playing out there on the field, doing these plays. And then I was like, whoa, they're really athletic. Okay. I can we can stretch this out into the game. And then you saw them take some of those moves into the game and they had so much fun with it. So I think just remembering again, I'm going to go back to it. The wins and losses are important. Please believe we do focus on that. Um, but there's so much more out there than just that. And so we have to remind ourselves, remind myself of that.
So with your little passing drill there, did you have Coach Frost out there to kind of grade them on how they were doing?
No, I need to do that next time. I need to call him out because I don't know all the terminology. So when they're like, okay, slant left and right, I was like, I know that. But then once they started doing like button hooks and everything else, I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I need to bring in somebody from the bullpen for that stuff. So yeah, we'll have to ask Coach Frost next time.
Absolutely. So the season begins very soon, February 6th, Black and Gold tournament. And we're looking forward to watching the softball season get underway. Coach Cindy Ball-Malone, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.